Today we're going to talk about 3 easy kid-friendly hikes near the Whitehorse, Yukon, or in Kluane National Park. So if you're exploring either of these places, these hikes are a great option for family-friendly or just easier hikes with gorgeous views. So let's dive in. The first hike that we're going to talk about is Rock Glacier Hike. So this is about 2 hours from Whitehorse and it is in Kluane National Park. It is a 2.3 kilometer trail with 167 meter elevation gain. So it's a moderately hard trail, and I would say that's mostly because of the second half of the hike. So the first half of the hike you go up and it's kind of a wooded path, pretty well maintained through the trees, a more easier kind of walk. But then the second half of the hike is actually on rocks, kind of like shale, but not quite. On rocks up to the kind of the top of this little mountain here, because Rock Glacier Hike, these rocks used to be a living, moving river, kind of like a glacier, but out of rocks. And so now they're kind of all placed there. But the whole point of the hike is you walk to the top and then you have these most gorgeous views. So because of that, the second half of the hike is harder for kids to navigate. So we put baby in the baby carrier. And it is also steeper, so it is a bit harder. That's kind of what makes it the moderately hard trail, but we did it in about 1.5 hours, and they recommend 1 to 3 hours to complete this hike. This was the hike that we had the best bang for our buck, in that we only had to hike like an hour and a half to get the most gorgeous views. It's like a panoramic view of mountains. It's so pretty. And so I really loved this hike. It was easy to do with our toddler again, and you had the best views. Some tips for it though, make sure you bring a baby carrier because the rocks are hard for babies to do on themselves or toddlers to do it by themselves. Number 2, make sure you bring a sweater because once you get out of the trees at the beginning, it is pretty windy at the top. And then number 3, make sure you are aware of bears because that first part in the woods, you are at more risk for bear activity. And then all in all, parking is great there and the trail is pretty well maintained up until you get past kind of to the higher rocks, and then you kind of just make your trail as you go. But it is such a stunning hike with gorgeous views, and you really don't have to go super far to get pretty views. So that was our favorite part about it. Next, we have the Dezadeash Trail. The Dezadeash Trail is about 1.5 hours from the Whitehorse, Yukon, and it is located in a town called Haines Junction. The Dezadeash Trail runs along the Dezadeash River and is a 5.8 kilometer trail. This one is so nice, and it's kind of shaded throughout the woods, so it's great for a hot day with stunning views of the mountains. It does have a 173 meter elevation gain, and because of that and the length of the hike, it's also considered a moderately hard trail. But really, it's not super hard. And the thing that I liked about it most is it was kind of like a come and stay as long as you want or go when you need to trail, in that we hiked for an hour one day, half an hour the next day. You don't have to do the whole trail to get pretty views or to feel like you've had good time in nature. You can kind of go as long as you want and then come back. So that was my favorite thing about this trail here. This one was my favorite one for baby to walk on their own because it was relatively flat, the trail is well maintained, and you had beautiful views along the way, so if they're walking slow, you can still enjoy your time out in nature on the Dezadeash Trail. And then the last hike that we're going to talk about today is the Soldier Summit. This one is located a bit further away from Whitehorse. It's about 3 hours from Whitehorse, but there's lots to do and explore around it, so it was well worth the day trip for us. It's a hike that is a bit shorter, but it has a lot of elevation gain. So this hike is recommended to do in 1 to 2 hours and has a 240 meter elevation gain. This trail is 3.2 kilometers long and is steep about the whole way. So I do recommend having a hiking carrier because it's pretty steep for your baby or toddler to do on their own, but has gorgeous views once you hit the top. This hike is also in Kluane National Park, and once you hit the top, you have the most beautiful view of the mountains and Kluane Lake, which is really neat to see. There's a nice little spot that you can kind of sit and wait up there, or you can just head back down. Again, it's recommended to do this in about 1 to 2 hours. We did it in about an hour round trip, so really was a shorter hike. The parking is great, they're easy to do. Bring bear spray and practice bear safety, but besides that, you're gonna have a great time with such beautiful views. Okay, there are our top recommendations of hikes to do near the Whitehorse, Yukon, or in Kluane National Park when you're exploring northern Canada. These were such beautiful places to take our toddler and just enjoy the stunning views of the Yukon. We hope you enjoy.